Berlin, April 1945. The war in Europe was coming to an end. Above ground, the German capital was dying. Entire streets burned through the night. Buildings collapsed beneath endless artillery fire. The sound of explosions echoed across the city, hour after hour, day after day. But beneath the ruins of Berlin, hidden under layers of concrete and steel, Adolf Hitler refused to leave. While the Third Reich collapsed around him, he remained inside a bunker, waiting, planning, refusing to surrender. For nearly 2 weeks, the most feared man in Europe lived underground, while history unfolded above his head. And when Soviet soldiers finally reached the bunker, Hitler was already dead. This is the story of the final days of Adolf Hitler. By April of 1945, Germany had already lost the war. In the West, American, British, and Allied forces continued advancing deeper into German territory. In the East, the Soviet army pushed relentlessly toward Berlin. The capital was surrounded. The end was inevitable. Yet, inside the Führerbunker, reality seemed distant. The bunker itself was buried beneath the Reich Chancellery, a reinforced underground complex designed to survive bombardment. Inside were officers, guards, secretaries, doctors, and members of Hitler's inner circle. The atmosphere was tense, heavy, almost unreal. Above them, Berlin was collapsing. Below, meetings continued, maps were updated, orders were issued, military briefings were held. But there was one problem. Many of the armies Hitler discussed no longer existed. Entire divisions had already been destroyed. Communication networks were failing. Supplies were running out. The war was over. Almost everyone in the bunker understood this. Everyone, except Hitler. Those who saw Hitler during the final weeks of the war described a man who had changed dramatically. He looked older, weaker, exhausted. Witnesses reported that his hands trembled. His movements had become slow. His health had deteriorated significantly. Yet, despite everything happening around him, he continued to believe Germany could still survive. Every day, he gathered his commanders. Every day, he studied maps. Every day, he ordered counterattacks that could no longer be carried out. The situation grew worse. The Soviet army moved closer. The sounds of artillery became louder. Sometimes, explosions above ground were so powerful that dust fell from the bunker ceiling. Many officers began to lose hope. Some attempted to flee Berlin. Others accepted that death was approaching. Several chose suicide over capture. The atmosphere inside the bunker became increasingly desperate. And yet, Hitler remained, still issuing orders, still refusing to accept defeat. Then came April 29th. With Soviet troops only a short distance away, Hitler made a surprising decision. He married Eva Braun. The ceremony was small, brief, almost surreal. A wedding, held underground, while a city burned above. Only a handful of people attended. Hours later, Hitler dictated his final political testament, his final message to the world. Even then, he refused to accept responsibility for Germany's defeat. Outside, the Third Reich was entering its final hours. The next day, April 30th, 1945, would become one of the most significant dates in modern history. Hitler understood that Berlin would soon fall. Capture was unavoidable, so he gave his final instructions. After his death, his body was to be burned immediately. He feared the Soviets would display his remains as a trophy. Shortly after 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Hitler and Eva Braun entered his private room. The door closed behind them. Outside, staff members waited silently. Minutes passed. Then, a single gunshot echoed through the bunker. The waiting was over. When the room was finally opened, Adolf Hitler was dead. Eva Braun lay beside him. Witnesses later reported that Hitler had shot himself. Braun had taken cyanide. Their bodies were wrapped in blankets, then carried through the bunker, up a staircase, and out into the garden above. Berlin was still under bombardment. Soviet artillery continued striking nearby streets, yet preparations continued. Gasoline was poured over the bodies. A match was lit, and moments later, the remains were set on fire. Flames rose into the smoke-filled air. The dictator who had plunged Europe into war was gone. Within hours, Soviet troops were only a short distance away. The Third Reich had effectively ceased to exist. But Hitler's death did not end the story. In many ways, it created a new one. In the years that followed, rumors spread across the world. Conspiracy theories emerged almost immediately. Some claimed Hitler had escaped Berlin, others believed he fled through secret tunnels. Some insisted he escaped to South America. The uncertainty was fueled by the Soviet Union itself. Early Soviet statements regarding Hitler's fate were often contradictory. These conflicting reports created decades of speculation. Books were written, investigations were launched, theories multiplied. But as more evidence became available, a clearer picture emerged. Today, the overwhelming majority of historians agree on what happened. Adolf Hitler died inside the Führerbunker on April 30th, 1945. The witness accounts, the recovered remains, and the historical evidence all point to the same conclusion. Yet fascination with those final days continues, because the story is about more than one man. It is the story of an empire collapsing, a regime that once controlled much of Europe, reduced to a handful of people, trapped underground, waiting for the inevitable. Today, almost nothing remains of the Führerbunker. The structure was destroyed after the war. Modern buildings now stand above the site. People walk across the area every day, often unaware of what once existed beneath their feet. But history has not forgotten. Beneath modern Berlin, hidden below the streets, lies the location where one of the darkest chapters of the 20th century came to an end. In silence, underground, as the world above changed forever.